Rich boy pours wine on black CEO, his parents laugh, until she cancels their $650 million deal. Power, class, and ego are a dangerous mix, especially when the people involved have no idea who they're dealing with. In today's world, titles and money often blind people to the truth that respect costs nothing, but disrespect can cost everything. This story is a perfect example. It shows how quickly things can turn upside down when arrogance meets the wrong target, or rather, the right one. In a prestigious country club where wealth is worshipped like a religion, a young man who has never heard the word no in his life decides to pull a cruel, humiliating stunt on a stranger who happens to be the CEO of one of the most powerful emerging tech companies in the world. What he saw was just a black woman in a suit. What he didn't see was her power, her influence, her reach, and a $650 million deal she was hours away from signing, with his own parents. This story isn't just about karma. It's about the kind of revenge that doesn't need violence, shouting, or threats. Just a signature, or in this case, the refusal to sign. So buckle up. Because part 1 dives into a world of wealth, pride, and a lesson so brutal it will leave the rich boy and his entire family speechless. Before we go any further, comment where in the world you're watching from and make sure to subscribe because tomorrow's story will be the one you don't want to miss. The Sterling Crest Country Club was where the city's most powerful families gathered. Marble floors, glass walls, a golden chandelier the size of a car, everything inside screamed money. That morning, the lounge was buzzing because the Hastings family had arrived. Robert and Evelyn Hastings were considered royalty in business circles. Their company, Hastings Global Investments, was on the verge of a historic $650 million partnership with Novatech Solutions, a rapidly rising tech giant led by a brilliant black CEO named Amara Cole. But the Hastings had never met her in person. All the negotiations had been handled through lawyers and executives. Still, they knew what she looked like. They just didn't know she would be at the club that morning. Their son, Chase Hastings, was 24, arrogant, handsome, and dangerously spoiled. He walked like the world belonged to him because, in his eyes, it did. Every waiter bowed to him, every girl drooled over him, every adult defended him. And today, he was bored and looking for entertainment. At 10:15 a.m., Amara Cole walked into the lounge silently. A tall woman with smooth brown skin, her hair in a neat bun, wearing a charcoal suit sharper than a knife. She carried a slim leather folder, papers for the final signature of the $650 million deal. She was early. She preferred observing people before they saw her. She sat alone near the window. Chase, who had been lounging at the bar with a glass of expensive Bordeaux, noticed her. His eyes narrowed, not with interest, but irritation. "Who let her in here?" he muttered loudly. His friend snickered. He strutted over, wine glass in hand. "Hey, you can't sit here," Chase said, blocking the light with his body. "This section's for members." Amara looked up calmly. "I'm meeting someone here." "Not my problem," Chase smirked. "Take a seat outside. Staff usually wait there." His friends burst out laughing. Amara remained silent. She had met men like him 1,000 times. But Chase wasn't satisfied. He wanted a reaction. He stepped closer, tipping his wine glass back and forth carelessly. "You know what?" he said. "Let me help you move." And with one arrogant flick of his wrist, he poured the full glass of red wine down her suit. The room gasped. A perfect, deep red stain spread across her jacket and white blouse. Chase laughed. His friends laughed. Even his parents, sitting across the lounge with champagne, chuckled at their son's mischief. Amara slowly rose from her seat. Her posture was straight. Her breathing calm. Not a trace of anger on her face, just a chilling, controlled silence. Chase smirked. "Relax. Buy a new suit. Or ask your boss to raise your salary." Oh wait. And he laughed again. But before Amara could speak, the club manager rushed in, shaking in panic. Ms. Cole. I am so sorry. Chase's smile froze. Ms. Cole. As in. The Novatech CEO. Robert and Evelyn Hastings stood up instantly. Ms. Cole. Evelyn said, her voice cracking. As in, the deal, Ms. Cole. Chase blinked, the color draining from his face. But Amara didn't look at him. She calmly picked up her leather folder, now stained at the edges. Robert approached quickly, fake smile plastered on. This is all a misunderstanding, he said. Our son was just joking. Amara looked at him with the cold professionalism of a woman who had already judged and sentenced him. A joke, she repeated softly. It was harmless, Evelyn added desperately. We'll compensate you for the clothes. Amara's voice was smooth but icy. This wasn't about clothes. Chase swallowed hard. His friends backed away like rats. Robert put on his corporate charm, the one that had won him award after award. Ms. Cole, we deeply respect you, your company, your work. Amara cut him off. You respect my company, she said. Not me. And certainly not people who look like me. You could feel the temperature drop. Robert opened his mouth but no sound came out. Chase finally stammered, Look, I didn't know who you were. Amara turned to him. Her gaze was sharp enough to slice through marble. Oh, I know. Her voice was soft, but everyone heard it. You thought I was beneath you. Chase looked down at the floor, trembling. Amara straightened her wine-soaked blazer. Mr. Hastings, she said calmly, we were scheduled to finalize the Novatech Hastings partnership this afternoon. Robert nodded vigorously. Yes, of course, and we look forward to. I'm canceling it. Silence. A silence so heavy it crushed the air. Evelyn gasped. Cancel. Ms. Cole, please, that deal is critical for us. Amara didn't blink. Your son didn't just disrespect me. She folded the stained folder. He disrespected the values of the partnership. And I refuse to tie my company to a family that encourages behavior like this. Chase's legs shook. Robert stepped forward desperately. Ms. Cole, we'll discipline him, we'll compensate. It's done, she said. She turned toward the exit. But before leaving, she delivered the finishing blow. For people like your son, consequences are optional. Today, they are not. And she walked out, wine dripping from her suit, but dignity untouched. The Hastings family stood frozen. Chase sank into a chair, face pale, realizing one stupid act had just cost his family over $500 million. But what none of them knew yet was this. This was only the beginning of their downfall. The entire Sterling Crest Country Club had fallen silent, but the fallout had only begun. While Amara walked calmly to the exit, still dripping wine from her blazer, her phone buzzed. It was her second-in-command, Marcus Hale. Are you still planning to attend the signing meeting? He asked. Amara stepped outside, the cool wind hitting her face. No. Cancel it. Immediately. There was a pause. Marcus understood her tone. What happened? Disrespect, she answered. And stupidity. Marcus sighed. All right. I'll notify legal. And Marcus, she added, her voice firm but composed, from this point on, cut all communication with Hastings Global. No negotiation. No apology letters. No PR smoothing. You got it. Amara ended the call. Inside the club, the Hastings family was in full panic mode. Chase sat with his head in his hands. Dad, please fix this. I didn't know who she was. That's the problem. Robert snapped. You don't think before you act. She wasn't just a guest, she's the most powerful partner we've ever had." Evelyn grabbed her husband's arm. "Robert, we need to leave. Now. We'll apologize properly. We just need to get to her before anyone else finds out." But it was already too late. As the Hastings rushed outside, they saw Amara stepping into her sleek black SUV. "Ms. Cole, please," Robert called out. The car door closed. The SUV drove off without a single glance back. Chase felt his chest tighten. He had ruined everything. Minutes later, the club's members were whispering behind their wine glasses. She canceled the whole deal. Over a wine spill? No, over him. Good. Someone had to teach that boy a lesson. But the whispers were nothing compared to the storm coming. By the next morning, every major business headline read: Novatech cancels historic partnership with Hastings Global, values misalignment cited. The stock market reacted instantly. Hastings Global shares plunged 32% in 2 hours. Investors pulled out. 3 board members resigned. Reporters swarmed the Hastings mansion. Robert tried to issue a stabilizing public statement, but panic was already spreading. Chase watched everything unfold from his bedroom. His phone buzzed non-stop, texts from friends, journalists, and people mocking him online. He opened social media to find himself trending. #WineBoy. #Hastings disaster. #Don't mess with him Cole. Clips of him pouring wine on Amara, caught by a club security camera, were everywhere. His life of arrogance had finally caught up to him. And he couldn't run from it. Robert walked into the Hastings Global headquarters with sweat on his forehead. Cameras flashed outside, questioning him about the scandal involving his son. When he entered the conference room, the board members looked furious. "Robert," the chairman began, "this partnership was supposed to secure our future. Now we're in free fall. This is a PR crisis of your family's making," another added. "We demand accountability," said a third. "And that starts with your son." Robert stiffened. He made a mistake. Mistake? The chairman cut in. He humiliated a major partner. On camera. And your family laughed. Robert swallowed. "What are you suggesting?" The chairman leaned forward. "We want your son removed from all company privileges. No future leadership. No trust fund access until further notice." Robert's jaw clenched. This meant Chase's future inheritance was gone. But it got worse. Additionally, the chairman continued, "We need a public apology, from your son, to minimize the damage." Robert nodded painfully. Understood. But Chase would not take it well. When Robert returned home, he found Chase pacing violently, his hair disheveled, eyes red. "Dad, the whole world hates me," he yelled. "They're calling me racist, spoiled, everything. This is insane." "You were cruel," Robert snapped. "And now the board wants you publicly removed." Chase froze. "Removed, how?" "No inheritance. No position in the company. Nothing." It hit him like a punch to the chest. "You're kidding," Chase whispered. "I'm not," Robert said coldly. "This is the cost." Chase slammed his fist into the wall. "This is her fault. How can one woman destroy everything?" Evelyn appeared in the doorway, trembling. "She didn't destroy anything," she said softly. "You did." Chase's anger collapsed into tears. "I just wanted to impress my friends. I didn't think." Robert sighed heavily. "Well, you're going to think now. You will apologize to her. Publicly." Chase's face went pale. "No, no, Dad, please." But there was no escape. He had no choice. A week later, an arranged press conference was held. Cameras were everywhere. Lights flashed. Reporters swarmed like bees. Chase stepped onto the stage in a stiff suit, eyes puffy, voice trembling. He read from a written statement. "I want to apologize to Ms. Amara Cole, for my unacceptable behavior. My actions were disrespectful, entitled, and wrong." His voice cracked. People watched coldly. "I understand now that my privilege blinded me. And I hurt someone who deserved respect." When it was over, reporters fired questions, but Chase fled the stage. His life was changed forever. But the question remained. Would Amara respond? Amara sat in her top-floor office, watching the apology live on her screen. Marcus stood beside her. "Think he's learned anything?" Marcus asked. Amara closed the laptop. "He learned consequences. Whether he learned respect, time will tell." Marcus nodded. "People are praising you online. They say this is the first time a CEO refused to tolerate that kind of treatment." "I'm not interested in praise," Amara said. "I just won't allow arrogance to be rewarded." Marcus hesitated before asking, "So, is this the end?" Amara gave a small, knowing smile. "Almost." 2 months later, while the Hastings were still scrambling to cover losses, Novatech announced its new partnership, one worth $900 million, with a different company. A company run by one of Robert's biggest rivals. It was deliberate, strategic, and devastating. Hastings global stocks fell another 18%. By the end of the quarter, the company had lost over $1 billion in value. And everyone in the industry knew exactly why. To everyone's shock, Amara requested a private meeting with Robert Hastings. They met in a tall glass building overlooking the city. Robert entered the room looking thinner, older, defeated. "Ms. Cole," he said quietly. "Thank you for agreeing to meet. I want to apologize, sincerely." Amara nodded slightly. "Your apology is accepted." Robert exhaled in relief. But then Amara continued. "And the consequences remain." Robert's face fell. "I know," he said. "I just wanted to understand. Was there truly nothing we could have done to reverse this?" Amara folded her hands. "You could have taught your son humility before the world had to. But you didn't. You all laughed when he humiliated me. That moment told me everything I needed to know." Robert lowered his head. "This has ruined us," he whispered. Amara paused, then spoke calmly. "No. This has taught you." She stood. "Sometimes lessons cost money. Sometimes they cost reputation. Sometimes they cost both." Robert looked up, tears burning in his eyes. "Will you ever work with us again?" Amara gave the final truth. "When your family learns genuine respect, not for power, not for titles, but for people, then perhaps one day you'll rebuild. But you won't rebuild with me." Robert nodded slowly. He understood. Amara extended her hand. He shook it weakly. Then she walked away, tall, composed, unstoppable. Chase eventually enrolled in a rehabilitation program for anger and entitlement, forced by the board to clean up his image. He worked normal jobs for the first time in his life, retail shifts, warehouse shifts, where nobody cared about his last name. It changed him. He learned humility the hard way. And whenever people ask him about the wine incident, he simply says, "That day saved me." Even if it destroyed everything else. As for Amara Cole, Novatech soared, expanding globally, gaining more power, respect, and admiration than ever before. Because true power isn't loud. It doesn't need to brag. It just acts. And the world adjusts. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more powerful stories like this.